Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. We're in the plant room today. We've had really nice fall weather this year. There's been no frost so far, but in a couple of days we're expecting our first temperatures below zero or below freezing, and there's a chance of snow. So all the plants are in the plant room now, and we'll be making our first indoor video today. So I'm going to start by showing you the plant room this year, what I've done to it, and the general setup of it. So here's the main bench by the doorway. There's the door. And most of my larger trees are on this bench. They're right beside the window. There's the window face of the plant room. And on the back wall here, I've got a spot set up for making videos and a workbench. So I got a few lights and a black background. And I've got another bench over here. It's 3 shelves on it. That gets sun from the window. It's not shining on the plants right now, but it will later in the day. I got my oil-filled heater here. And I've got another shelf over this side. It's got 2 shelves with plants. And then up top here I have another shelf. So this year I've covered the walls in a silver mylar insulation, which kind of increases the brightness in the plant room. And it helps insulate it. Last year in this corner over here, I did get some trees freezing in the corner here. So this year I've insulated it better, and I'm going to run a fan in the plant room that circulates the air. So if I get any cold spots near the windows, it'll circulate in the room and keep it generally warmer. Today we're going to be working on my African style Serissa. It's styled to look like an African Acacia tree. And it's been growing well. It's made a lot of progress over the last 2 years. However, we still want to improve it. And I had it in our club show this year, and after I got the pictures back from the club show, I had a look at it, and I kind of, reevaluated the design of the tree. And there were several things that I wanted to do to the tree. The main thing was I brought the foliage down on the top as far as I could and still kept, enough foliage to fill the canopy in. But the layer looked too thick in the photographs. The height of the foliage was just too thick a layer compared to photographs of acacia trees. They have a very thin layer on top. And I think part of the problem is that in the side view, I probably rounded it front to back a little too much. I probably should have kept it flatter. This foliage is a little too low. So I think when I am pruning the top next time, well, probably today, we'll keep it flatter, so we'll have less curvature front and back, and the curvature will be more left to right of the tree. The other thing that I wanted to do is I want to grow like a dead branch coming off the trunk. On acacia trees, it's quite common to have, dead branches coming off the main trunk. So that's why I've let this one grow out. And I'll keep it as a live branch, but if I go to show the tree, I'll remove the leaves so it'll give the impression of a dead branch. Around the back of the tree, I've left a couple of shoots grow now. And the reason for that is I want to thicken the base of the tree up a bit. The tree doesn't really have reverse taper, but it doesn't have much taper near the base. So if I leave these shoots grow, I'll get some thickening up around the base of the tree, and we'll improve our, our transition from the soil coming up to the trunk. It'll just be a little thicker there. So that's the reason I've left the shoots at the back. Right now the moss has grown really well since the show, and it's getting pretty thick, and that'll have to get pruned too. But we're going to start today with styling of the top of the tree and try and get our flat layer of foliage. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this shoot. I want it to come out from the trunk and have movement to it, so we're going to clip and grow it to kind of create a bit of a zigzag type branch. So we'll just prune that off to this set of leaves down here. And we're going to start on the upper profile now. So I'm going to turn it so I can see what's going on, and you guys will be seeing a side view. So we're going to start by pruning our profile shape. Any long shoots that need to be trimmed back, we'll trim them back. And we're trying to cut between leaves. These trees really smell horrible when you prune them. So I'm looking for anything that sticks up out of our rounded canopy, and trying to do directional pruning if I can, so we get our new growth in a good direction. Profile from the front view was pretty close because we pruned it for the show this year, so it's just a few shoots that have grown up and got a little long. That's getting there. The other thing I noticed when I looked at the photographs of the tree was my canopy's a little asymmetrical. I'm a little shorter on this side and longer on this side. And the acacia trees in nature, they grow pretty symmetrically. You can have quite a twisty trunk, but the foliage is pretty balanced left to right on top. So I'm going to try and equalize that out. So my left side here is growing too long. Oh, I got a flower bud there too. That would come out nicely, but oh well. So let's start pruning that a little more compact on this side. There's a few leaves that are yellowing on the inside here, which is natural. As your canopy gets tighter on top, you get less light down to the lower branches. So the leaves get shaded out and they start to turn yellow and will fall off. I've got a shoot that's hanging down here I'm going to remove. So, there. I'm just doing it slowly at first. We don't need to, rush into the final shape. So it's getting more symmetrical now. Still some work to go. That's better. It's a little more balanced now. You can see that. Now, we look at the front view. I've got a branch at the back here that the foliage is quite low on. So we may want to remove some of the downward growth. So when viewed from the front, we can see the branch structure coming up rather than, foliage back here. And on an acacia tree, that's what you want to see, is you want to see all your branches coming up to this thin layer of foliage. We're going to remove some of this foliage. There's some here. This branch comes up and then it's kind of shaded out by the branch above. So all this inner foliage we want to get rid of so we can keep our outer foliage. So I'm going to take that branch right off. Yes, indeed. I've got two branches developing on the inside here that we could let grow up into the canopy. It would be, you know, a slow process because we'd have to clip and grow them to give them movement to reach up to the canopy. I don't think we really need them. I'm going to get rid of them. There's another shoot on the inside here I can get rid of. I'll get rid of this one. Except I didn't get rid of it. No. We've got some branches hanging down here. I can remove those. That'll get our foliage up higher. So that's brought the foliage level of this branch up higher now. So we don't have foliage hanging down in this branch structure. There's a shoot growing inside here I can remove that's kind of coming at a strange angle. I think that'll do. It's about all we can do for that branch for now. It has raised the foliage of the branch a bit. Yeah. I got some more flower buds forming here. I guess it was due to flower, this tree. Okay, so there's our front so far. The next thing we want to do is, we've got our top profile pretty good here. So now we want to remove some of the foliage that's lower so we keep a thinner layer up top. So we're going to look for branches that are too low that we can remove, and foliage we can remove. And after I pruned it last time, I pruned it in some nice foliage planes, which I really liked. And I think we've got to kind of restore these foliage planes a bit too. So we'll try and get some of them a little flatter. So I'm working on this foliage pad, trying to get it as flat as possible. Trimming back to some good leaves. Yeah, that's looking good. It's breaking the canopy up. Some overlapping branches I can remove here. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to try and get my layers, and we'll try and remove some of this bottom foliage. So we'll come back and see how I did. One thing on a Serissa, if you do prune it up and you don't like it, it'll grow in again. So you don't have to worry if you didn't do it quite to your liking the first time. It'll grow again and give you another chance. So, you know, practice makes perfect. You'll eventually develop your eye and technique so you can prune it up how you like it. Yeah. So we'll come back. I'm going to keep pruning and removing bottom foliage, and we'll come back and see how the tree looks. So we're back from trimming the foliage. I've brought the bottom of the foliage up as far as I could and the top down as far as I can. So it still has a ways to go to get, our foliage even thinner. But I've got to let some of these lower ones, some of these branches to grow up a bit, and some of these back ones to grow up a bit, and then I can get my foliage layer even thinner on top. So done as much as I can for now. I've got some foliage pads forming, which breaks up that rounded canopy and gives the tree a little more of a mature look to it, more of a realistic look too. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to prune up our moss. It's growing quite thickly. It's starting to cover up this rock back here. So we'll get to doing the moss now. And the moss looks good, but it looks a little lush. It's getting a little long. So we're just going to come in and, again, just prune it back. We'll leave the odd tuft long. Most of it will get shortened quite a bit. So you can see, with our foliage, you can't do everything at once. You've just got to, once you have your design in mind of what you want, you can take little steps towards achieving your goal. And that's what we've done today, is just, small improvements. We still want to grow our canopy wider, and as I said, get our flat foliage layer on top, but we'll work towards achieving that. So I'll prune up the moss and we'll come back and have a look at it, see if it looks good or not. So I've got the moss pruned up and cleaned up. It's not perfect, but when we get it ready for another show sometime, we'll do some more work on the moss. The zebra kind of gives the tree a scale, and I don't know if it's good or bad. Without the zebra, the scale's up to kind of the viewer's imagination. You can picture it as a great big tree, or you can picture it as a small tree. So that was one of the reasons I put the rock here, is probably next time I display this tree I won't have the zebra in it. It's just there for more for fun. So we'll leave it in for now. There you go, zebra. You can sit under the shade of the tree. So that's it for today. We've taken small steps to slowly improve the tree. I would say this tree is probably, the canopy's probably a few years off before we get it the right width and we get our foliage kind of closer to how we want it. But it's getting there. I'm happy with the progress. In 2 years it's kind of gone from not a very detailed looking tree to a more refined tree. And there's still more refinement to go on the tree, and we'll just slowly work at it. So Nigel Saunders for KW Bonsai. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.